This episode is powered by Specialized Recruiting Group in Livonia, helping businesses find top-tier talent and professionals land their next big opportunity. Welcome to Ghosted by the Machine, the podcast where job seekers break through the algorithm and finally get heard. No filters, no bots, just real stories from real people navigating today's hiring system. I'm your host, Mark Lane, and today we're giving the mic to someone who understands talent from both sides as a professional navigating the job market and as someone who has worked closely with people and hiring. Terry Lease is a talented, focused professional from Metro Detroit who brings both experience and perspective to what's happening in today's hiring process. Terry, welcome to Ghosted by the Machine. How are you today?
Thanks, Mark. I'm great. I'm so happy to be here. I love having conversations around anything to do with talent acquisition, recruiting. It's not only my background, but it's my passion. So super happy to be here.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about yourself, what kind of role you're looking for right now, and how long have you been in the job market?
Well, I'll do the last question first. I just hit the job market at the end of January. I was working with a really great consulting firm out of Lansing called DuPont. Fabulous people, but my contract with my client just didn't get renewed. So here I am. Not my first time seeking a job, but if anything, I know I'm resilient. I have spent pretty much my whole background in talent acquisition and recruiting, staffing. I've done everything from hands-on recruiting. Then I got into managing recruiting programs like RPO and MSP, so more program management of a giant process for an organization. Then I kind of moved up the chain a little bit and got into leadership roles, managing recruiting teams for companies representing North America. And then the bottom kind of fell out the last couple of years with talent acquisition, and a lot of companies shed their talent because, when they're not hiring and the economy gets tough, we're kind of the first to go. So a couple of years ago, I actually made a pivot over to organizational change management, which is the people side of change for IT projects. But really, you can apply it to anything that defines change. And I went and got certified by ProSci, which is probably the biggest change company out there in the country, if not the world. And so I got certified, and I've been doing change management the last 2 years. But my skills were well defined for that because it's really being a people person and going into organizations and determining, what's changing. Change is hard for people, right? So what's changing? Who is it going to affect? What processes is it going to affect? And how do we do the right things in the way of communications and training to make sure people are on board and they're not circumventing your process? So when you ask what role I'm looking for, to me, I feel like I have something called a talent stack. So I've done so many different things from hands-on recruiting to leadership to program management and now change management. So I can do any of those, and I'm happy to do any of those. Probably at this stage of my career, what's most important to me is landing with a company that truly values its people, is going to value me and what I'm bringing to the table, and is doing things the right way and operates with integrity. So it's going to be more for me about the who versus the what.
So do you think AI has helped or hurt you during your job search right now, and why?
I knew that question was coming. Maybe this is a little bit of an odd answer. I know AI exists. I've done a few things myself with it, but for me, it's a non-starter. There's a lot of noise around that. Optimize your resume and AI is filtering out people, but I look at it this way. I can't control AI. It is what it is. Some companies use it. A lot don't. And I think at the end of the day, because I've been a recruiter, your resume still has to touch a human at some point, and the process still becomes human at some point. So I'm going to just not worry about AI. It's outside of my control, and I'm going to keep doing what I do. The biggest thing I'm going to say is, people used to ask me, what's the best tool to get hired, or what's the best tool to find a person? My answer has always been consistently this in my career. It's never any one tool that you're using. It's accumulation of all of the right things that you're doing. So it's blind applying. It's networking, it's cold calling, it's reaching out, it's scrolling on LinkedIn or whatever other tools and seeing who's posting what. It's all those things that build momentum. And so you got to do all the things. So AI, does it exist? Is it out there doing certain things? Yes. But if I can't control it, I'm going to try not to worry about it because I have enough other things to worry about. I'm going to keep plowing forward and doing my thing. And I truly believe that the right job comes along at the right time. And then that's when it'll happen.
Okay. So what is your secret skill or superpower that most resumes don't show?
Well, I have two. One, for sure, hands down, I'm a relationship builder. So I've come into a lot of difficult situations over the years in my client support, customer support. I turn relationships around, and I'm just a master at reading the room and working with people and active listening. What do people need, solving a problem? So I think that's a great skill that I bring that you can't always tell from a resume. And then hands down, and people know this about me, my absolute positive attitude, and people love that and they want to be around it. And to me, it's infectious. And so that's a superpower. When things are tough, when things in my life aren't going the way I want, I still remain positive. You can take that to the bank, right? I think it serves you well all day long. And let's face it, this process is hard. And so by staying positive, I think it just helps you navigate all of the difficulties.
So is there one thing you tell recruiters or hiring managers today?
Yeah. Be kind, be open. This process is hard for people. Whether you're working or not, it's hard. It's competitive. Follow up and follow through. If people give you their time, they deserve your time back and at least an answer, and be respectful. And then if I could change one thing, because they used to do this a long time ago, companies want to hold out for the perfect fit. I wish they would go back to hiring for ability, because holding out for perfect just gets in the way of this process, and it elongates things, right? Not everybody has to have every skill. It didn't used to be that way. Hire for people who have the ability, who have the right attitude. Yeah, do you have to have the skills and qualifications? Hands down. But do you have to have, if you're asking for 10, do you got to have 20? Hire for 7. Hire for somebody who's got the right attitude and who can come in and do it. Are the days gone where you used to help train people? I mean, if someone's coming into an organization, they should still be able to learn some things, right? So yeah, be kind to people. I've seen a lot of, and this is where I would love to get in and help companies fix their talent acquisition processes. Not even just is it difficult, but I've seen a lot of just people just look down their nose at people. I've seen a lot of rudeness. Just this week, I've had a couple of phone conversations and both people were late. And when I say late, I'm not talking a couple of minutes. Yesterday, 25 minutes that I sat there and waited for somebody. And it's just sad. That's not a good reflection of a company. And you know what? I have a choice. I can also choose, just because I am looking for my next opportunity. I don't have to go to a company. My hands might be a little bit more tied. I might not be able to be as selective, but I'm still interviewing the company. It's still a two-way street. So that's important. And companies forget that they have a reputation. Listen, I used to work for General Motors and I've worked for IBM twice. Companies like that they don't have to recruit, right? People flock there, but smaller companies, that first reach out by your recruiter or your hiring managers, that's your brand. And companies have forgotten that.
You mentioned looking for the perfect candidate. A lot of that comes from the ATS systems that are set up, where they're grading your keywords that have been put in your application. So, yeah, some of that, again, that's where the human element is gone, and they're no longer just looking at the whole body or even the transferable skills that are out there with the participant or the applicant.
Yeah, so that is part of it. You do have to, I used to teach resume writing classes. If you're applying to a job where you're spot on, make sure that the things that they have in the job description are reflected in your resume. That's kind of a no-brainer.
Right.
Do you need to spend hours on it and AI it, make sure everything's, no, I just don't think that's efficient. I think your resume needs to match the job description to a certain extent, but do you need to painstakingly go over it and have every word? No. I think we're in a time where there's a lot of candidates available. And so it's going to be quantity. Get your resume out there, do all the things. Applied. It's a numbers game. Apply to a lot, right? But they have to sort of be spot on and network and keep going and don't give up on yourself.
So is there anything giving you hope right now?
Yes, for sure. My network and the resource groups that I belong to, my personal friends, family, peers I've used to work with, they share job descriptions. They hear me out. They know it's difficult. They're checking in on me. That means an awful lot. Check in on people, right? Because it is hard. So, and something I've noticed that people are posting, that they're talking about my resilience and my determination and my ability to pivot and land on my feet. That means my network is paying attention to my journey. And that means a lot to me. I have a big heart. And so when you're doing those things and people are noticing, you're doing something right. And then I have faith in my own abilities and what I'm bringing to the table. And you have to bring that to every interview and every conversation. When you lose sight of your own value, I think that's when it becomes more difficult. And you show up to your interviews, and if you're tired and you don't have that confidence, people are aware of that, right? So I know what I bring to the table. And actually, the person who introduced me to you, Jill, and she's going to listen to this, she actually used a word with me last week that really resonated with me. She said, I was testing your convictions. I know, and anyone who knows me knows hands down that I am convicted to this, right? I am and who I am and what I bring to the table. And I'm not backing down on that. And I'm going to stay the course. And I will land where I'm meant to be. I do believe that your path is your path in this process. Is it hard? Yes. Do you have to have a lot of conversations? Is there a lot of rejection? Are there days where you want to give up? Yes. But I can say this for sure. There's a lot of noise out there right now. You got people sending you stuff, trying to help. It's not a match. They're telling you to do this. You got people reaching out. It's your resume. It's AI. It's the economy. It's too many. It's whatever. Don't let all the noise distract you. I mean, a lot of it's well-intentioned, but you need to stay the course, follow your own head and your heart. It's okay to say no. It's okay not to do something just because somebody in your network says you need to go do this. Do what you think is best for you. At the end of the day, you're in control. And I do believe that your path is your path. And you just have to stay positive. And if you need to go take a break and go walk your dog or go treat yourself to a Starbucks or listen to your favorite music or whatever it is, and then reset and come back to it. One of my favorite sayings, and listen, I've been in this process a handful of times the last bunch of years. So I'm well attuned to what it takes. And it is difficult. Take a step back, reset, and come back. This is a Maya Angelou quote. Every storm runs out of rain. At the end of the day, things change. You will someday get a job. This is not a forever thing. Does it take longer than we might like sometimes? For sure. Is it more difficult than we might like? For sure. But at some point, you only need one yes. You only need one person to see your value. And at some point, you will hit the jackpot, and it's usually the right role. I mean, I look back at my path. Has it been ideal? My path hasn't been just an upward. It's been sometimes linear and sometimes down and around. But I've worked for some great companies. I mean, General Motors and IBM a couple of times and some small, great companies. I've worked with some fabulous people who have now expanded my network. And so you have to look at the bright side, and it's that positive thing. And I feel lucky. And if you bring that to your search and your interviews, someone's going to see that and someone's going to want that. So those are my takeaways.
Well, Terry, thank you so much for sharing your story and your perspective. And if you're watching or listening and saying, hey, that sounds like me, you're not alone. And if you want to share your story, email me or send me a DM. And if you want to stay plugged into the real stories, real insights, and real humans behind today's hiring system, make sure to follow and subscribe for new episodes, shorts, and conversations every week. And if your organization believes in making hiring more human and wants to support conversations like this, we're currently opening up a few sponsorship spots, so feel free to reach out. I'm Mark Lane, and this is Ghosted by the Machine. Behind every application, there's a human. Let's make hiring human again. Terry, thanks again for your time and your perspective. Good luck.
Thanks, Mark. This was a bright spot in my day. I appreciate you letting me share my story.